Hello everyone! Welcome back to Learning Math. For today's video, we will talk about special products. Special products are simply special cases of multiplying binomials. Our objective is to use algebraic methods to find the following: the product of the two binomials, product of the sum and difference of two terms, the square of a binomial, cube of a binomial, and product of a binomial and a trinomial. Let us start with the product of two binomials. To multiply binomials by another binomial, use the FOIL method. First, outer, inner, last. So let us find the product of the first terms. So we have AC. Next, multiply the outer terms. We have AD. And the inner terms, we have BC. Then the last terms, so the answer is BD. So the final answer is AC plus AD plus BC plus BD. Example number 1. So first, hanapin muna natin yung first term. So we have 2x and x. So multiply 2x and x, we have 2x squared. Next, outer terms, we have 2x and negative 5. 2x times negative 5 is negative 10x. Next, we have the inner terms. Ang inner terms natin ay 1 and x, and 1 times x is x. Then, the last terms, we have 1 and negative 5. So, multiply, we have negative 5. So, hindi pa to yung final answer kasi we have to combine like terms. So, we have 2x squared, then combine now the similar terms, so that is negative 10x and positive x. So, the answer is negative 9x. Then, we have negative 5. So, this is now the final answer, 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. Another example. So, we will first find the product of the first terms. So we have 4x times 2x. The answer is 8x squared. Next, we have the outer terms. So 4x times y, we have 4xy. Next is the inner terms. We have 3y and 2x. So 3y times 2x is 6xy. Then the last terms, we have 3y and y. So 3y times y is 3y squared. So this is not yet the final answer. We will combine the similar terms. So we have 8x squared. Then combining the similar terms, we have 4xy plus 6xy is 10xy. Then we have 3y squared for the last term. So this is now the final answer. 8x squared plus 10xy plus 3y squared. Next is the product of the sum and difference of two terms. The expression quantity x plus y and the quantity x minus y are binomials with the same terms. One is the sum and the other is the difference. The product is the difference of the square of these terms. So we have x squared minus y squared. Examples. So number 1, quantity of 3x plus 4 times the quantity of 3x minus 4. So first step, square the first term. So we will square the first term, then minus, square the last term. So we have 4 squared. So we will now simplify. Square of the first term means 3x times 3x, so that is 9x squared. Then minus, square of the last term means 4 times 4, so we have 16. So ito na yung final answer, 9x squared minus 16. Next, number 2. So we have square of the first term minus square of the last term. So we will now simplify. Square of the first term means 5a times 5a, so we have 25a squared. Next, minus Square root of the last term is 7 times 7, so we have 49. So the final answer is 25a squared minus 49. Next, number 3 is square of the first term, so we have the quantity 2x squared minus square the last term. So we will now simplify this. So square of the first term means 2x times 2x, so we have 4x squared minus square of the last term means 3y times 3y. So the answer is 9y squared. So this is now the final answer, 4x squared minus 9y squared. Next is the square of binomial. Squaring a binomial x plus y means multiplying x plus y by itself. It is the sum of square of the first term twice the product of the two terms and the square of the last term. So let us have example. Example number 1. Quantity of x plus 8 squared. So first step, square the first term of the binomial. So the first term is x, so squared natin, so we have x squared. Step number 2, twice the product of the first and the last terms. So we have 2 times the first term is x and the last term is 8. So 2 times x times 8. Next step is square the last term of the binomial. So the last term is 8, so we will square the last term. So we have 8 squared. So we will now simplify. So we have x squared, then 2 times x is 2x, times 8 we have positive 16x. Then square the last term, so we have 8 times 8, so we have 64. So this is now the final answer, x squared plus 16x plus 64. Example number 2. The first term here is 2a and the last term is 3. So first step, square the first term. So we have quantity 2a squared. Next step, twice the product of the first and the last terms. So we have twice the product of the first and the last term. Next step, square the last term of the binomial. The last term is 3, so we have now 3 squared. Next, we will now simplify. So the quantity 2a squared is equal to 2a times 2a, so which is 4a squared. Next, 2 times 2a is 4a, times 3 is 12a. Then 3 squared is 3 times 3, so that is equal to 9. So the final answer is 4a squared plus 12a plus 9. Number 3, y is the first term and negative 5 is the last term. So step number 1, square the first term of the binomial. So we have y squared. Next step, twice the product of the first and the last terms. So we have twice the product of the first and the last term. The last term is negative 5, the first term is y. Next is square the last term. So the last term is negative 5, so we have negative 5 squared. Next, we will now simplify. So we have y squared, then 2 times y is 2y, times negative 5, we have negative 10y. Next, negative 5 squared is negative 5 times negative 5, so that is equal to positive 25. So the answer is y squared minus 10y plus 25. Next is the cube of a binomial. The product indicates that the cube of a binomial is equal to the sum of the four terms. The first term is the cube of the first term, so we have x cubed. The second term is thrice the product of the square of the first term and the last term. So we have 3x squared y. And the third term is thrice the product of the first term and the square of the second term. Then the fourth term is the cube of the last term. So we have y cubed. Example number 1. Quantity x plus 2 cubed. So first step, cube of the first term of the binomial. So we have x cubed. Next, thrice the product of the square of the first term and the second term. So we have thrice the product of the square of the first term. So ang first term natin ay x, ang second term natin ay 2. So thrice the product of the square of the first term and the second term. So we have 3 times x squared times 2. Next step is thrice the product of the first term and the square of the second term. So we now have 3 times the first term times the square of the second term. Then we have the cube of the second term. So ang second term natin ay 2. So we have 2 cubed. So we will now simplify. So we have x cubed. Then 3 times x squared is 3x squared times 2. So we have 6x squared. Next, 3 times x is 3x and 2 squared is 4 because that is 2 times 2. So we have 4. 4 times 3x now is 12x. Then cube of the second term, so 2 times 2 times 2. So this is equal to 8. So this is now the final answer. X cubed plus 6x squared plus 12x plus 8. Example number 2. The quantity of 3x minus 2y cubed. So ito yung first term, 3x, and second term is negative 2y. First step, the cube of the first term. So yan ang cube of the first term. Next step, thrice the product of the square of the first term and the second term. So thrice the product of square natin yung first term and the second term. Next, thrice the product of the first term and the square of the second term. So we have 3 times yung first term at yung square ng second term. Then last step is cube of the last term. So ang last term ay negative 2y. So we have quantity negative 2y cubed. So simplify muna natin yung mga exponent. So we have 3x, quantity 3x cubed is the same as 3x times 3x times 3x. So we have 27x cubed. Baka 27 kasi 3 times 3 is 9 times 3, we have 27. Next, so we have square natin yung 3x. So that is 9x squared. So we have now 3 times 9x squared times negative 2y. Next, simplify natin yung quantity negative 2y squared. So that is negative 2y times negative 2y. So we have positive 4y squared. Then we have negative 2y, the quantity of negative 2y cubed. So this is equal to negative 2y times negative 2y times negative 2y. So this is equal to negative 8y cubed. So we now have 27x cubed. Then 3 times 9x squared times negative 2y is negative 54x squared y. Next, 3 times 3x times 4y squared is equal to 36xy squared. Then minus 8y cubed. So the final answer is 27x cubed minus 54x squared y plus 36xy squared minus 8y cubed. Next is the product of binomial and trinomial. The product of binomial and trinomial can be expressed as the sum or difference of two cubes. So yung first factor natin at second factors natin ay related. So para ma-express natin as sum or difference of two cubes, so kailangan natin i-check ang ating trinomial. The first term of the second factor is the square of the first term of the first factor. So, ito ang ating first factor, ito ang ating second factor. So, sabi niya, yun daw first term ng second factor natin, yung x squared, ay nanggaling siya sa square ng first term. Kaya siya x squared. Next is the middle term of the second factor is the product of the two terms, and the sign is the opposite sign of the second term of the first factor. So, ibig sabihin, multiply mo yung dalawa, x times y, kaya x to y yan, and then opposite siya ng sign ng first factor natin. So, ito positive, kaya negative yan. So, ito naman negative, kaya positive yun nandito. Then, the last term of the second factor is the square of the last term of the first factor. So, ito y squared kasi y times y ay y squared. So, ang product ng quantity of x plus y times quantity of x squared minus xy plus y squared is equal to x cubed plus y cubed. Then, yung quantity of x minus y times quantity x squared plus xy plus y squared is equal to x cubed minus y cubed. Example, quantity of x minus 10 times the quantity x squared plus 10x plus 100. So first, i-check muna natin yung trinomial natin. So yung first term ng trinomial ay square ng first term ng first factor. So x times x, x squared siya. Then, etong 10x ay product ng first term at last term. So, x times negative 10 is negative 10x. Then, opposite sign daw niya. So, we have positive 10x. Tama. Then, square ng last term. So, negative 10 times negative 10. So, we have positive 100. So, since tama lahat yung given condition natin, so we can now follow this pattern. So that means ang answer is x cubed minus 10 cubed. Bakit siya 10 cubed? Kasi 10 ang last term natin. So 10 cubed. So simplify natin. So we have x cubed minus 1,000. So ito na yung final answer. So thank you for watching and happy learning.